From Comedy Central's World News headquarters in New York, this is The Daily Show with Jon Stewart.
Good show for you tonight.
Jon Stewart developed The Daily Show into an American institution.
Oppression. Just because it makes you feel uncomfortable doesn't mean it has to change.
He blurred the lines between the news and comedy. For being known as a fake news program in The Daily Show's beginnings, it certainly had a very real impact on an entire generation.
I believe that you helped the administration take us to like the most devastating mistake in foreign policy that we've made in like 100 years. But you seem lovely.
Stewart got his start during the comedy boom in the 1980s when he moved to New York to work the comedy clubs. By the early 1990s, he was a regular. Jon had a hard time breaking through to the big time as several B movies or less than stellar parts plagued his career. Stewart was very funny, but couldn't find his place. At the same time, Comedy Central was developing The Daily Show, which premiered on July 22nd, 1996.
I got to do a half-hour infotainment show based on something like SportsCenter, which is why they brought in Craig Kilborn to be the host.
When Kilborn took the reins at The Late Late Show, Stewart took over on January 11th, 1999.
Welcome to The Daily Show. Craig Kilborn is on assignment in Kuala Lumpur. I'm Jon Stewart.
Jon brought a certain style to the show.
What Jon did was he instilled this idea that everything had to have a point of view. You couldn't just do a story for the sake of, oh, this is funny. It had to have a point of view. And he really wanted to go after the high targets, the people who were up on a pedestal and needed to be taken down.
Jon was amazing in an edit room. Like, you'd come back with a field piece and Jon would look at it and say, no, move this there, move that there, change that piece of VO, and you would go, okay, you know, grudgingly. And then it was like, oh, wow, it's way better.
Jon came on, took it to a whole new level, gave it his voice.
Jon really hit his stride with the 2000 election.
And then we really started to click in when the campaign started.
He had been behind the desk for a year when it was time for the 2000 presidential campaigns. The team launched Indecision 2000.
When Steve Carell and I were given access to John McCain's Straight Talk Express during the New Hampshire primary, that was, just nobody had gotten any sort of access like that before.
We couldn't really believe that we were getting the kind of access that we were. It was fun.
In a moment, I'm going to close my eyes and count down from 10, at which point my colleagues will scatter throughout the convention center. We just thought that'd be the funnest way.
People had to start taking us seriously. Even though we weren't taking ourselves seriously, politicians had to start taking The Daily Show seriously.
At that moment, we started realizing we have to do a good job because people are really starting to pay attention.
And then, for the first time in the modern era, there was no clear winner.
So as you can see, it's never going to end.
I think that the 2000 election was a turning point both for the show and for the way that the rest of the world, specifically the media, viewed the show.
The Indecision 2000 thing was, it was like a gift from God.
All right. Florida legislature to name state's electors. Among the names being considered, Cheaty McSteelforbush.
Jon Stewart would go on to be the voice of a generation, ranking in many people's minds as the most trusted source in news.
You know, if I wanted to pick out one thing that best exemplifies our country's peculiar relationship with guns, it might be that the phrase minor shooting incident exists.
The Daily Show's success and credibility attracted Hollywood stars and politicians alike.
This just in, Brokaw interviewed by Jackass.
Nailed it!
The Daily Show became a destination for people who have serious political ambition.
It's even become a regular stop on the campaign trail.
I'm issuing a new executive order that Jon Stewart cannot leave the show.
Jon Stewart will undoubtedly leave a legacy as a broadcaster, a comedian, and a household name.